Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Anna. You have probably noticed that I have started doing interviews on our channel where I interview people, but that's not all. I've given a couple of interviews myself and I have experienced some difficulties before and during the interviews as well as afterwards. So I decided to analyze my performance, to dig deeper, to understand the root of these problems. I made this analysis not to beat myself up over this, but because I am a very analytical person. I analyze everything, especially myself, my behavior, communication styles, speaking skills, pronunciation, etc., in order to learn and improve. Also, I thought this might help some of you guys. You can learn from my mistakes and keep some things in mind if you're planning on getting into this field. For instance, you have an upcoming job or college interview and you're preparing for it. So I think this video might help you. Another reason is that I just want to be honest with you. When you see someone doing something that is difficult for you and they make it look like it's easy, it's not necessarily the case. It doesn't mean that they didn't need to put in the work. I can assure you, based on my own experience, that everyone who's moving towards their goals is experiencing or has experienced those same difficulties as everyone else at some point. But people tend to see, and frankly speaking, they just want to see the results, arguing that those people who are successful in something just got lucky or have a natural ability or talent for something. What they don't want to see is the process, the journey, and all those roadblocks they've hit on their way to success. Because doing that allows us to back up, give up, or not take action. We use it as an excuse or a justification for our own dormancy. That's why I'm sharing with you this right now while I'm still in this situation. A person who doesn't have a natural ability to talk eloquently, who's an introvert, and when she becomes the center of attention in a room, she just wants to die. But also is someone who really wants to improve and work on herself. So let's get started with the things I have learned so far and the things I need to improve on. Lesson number 1 that I've learned: nothing can beat experience. Let me tell you, I have learned so much about how to interview people. I have watched hundreds of videos about this, and I also know a lot about how to keep it together and psych yourself up before something important. But despite your knowledge, nothing can beat experience. Knowing something on paper or in theory is not the same as applying it. It's a day and night difference. You actually need to use your knowledge. You need to go through these difficult situations, and not only once, but multiple times. It takes that same time to acquire experience. And only when you have experienced certain situations multiple times do they become easier, habitual, or even casual. So please remember this when something seems too hard or impossible to achieve. And don't be too fast to judge or criticize others, as you have no idea about their path and the things they've been through to get to the point where they are now. Guys, when you start something new, it's never easy because it's new. It's something you've never done before. So you need to get some traction. You need to learn a new skill or improve on something. So friction is to be expected. But keep in mind that it's different for everyone. Mistake number 2 that I always make and it always backfires is overthinking and over-preparing. Here's the truth. I don't feel comfortable and I don't like to be in the spotlight. This might sound counterintuitive considering what I do, but I didn't start this channel to showcase myself. I started it to help people to connect to and find like-minded people. I love meeting new people. I love talking to people, but it had never been formal, and I always tried to avoid being the center of attention in a conversation. By my nature, I'm more of a listener than a talker, so I really enjoy asking people questions and just listening to what they have to say. That's why conducting interviews is easier for me, but still not easy. Easier, but not easy. But when someone interviews me and I'm being put in the spotlight, I feel terrified and I feel like there's a lot of people just like me. I always wonder, you want to interview me? I'm not that interesting. You know, this little nasty voice in your head. When our channel started growing, all of a sudden, a lot of people started reaching out to me and wanted to talk to me. Before that, I lived in my own little world where I would feel comfortable and safe. And I was snapped out of that world, which is something that I'm really grateful for. I've had the honor of talking to the most amazing people, make friends, connections, and acquaintances. So, not backing down before something that felt scary, uncomfortable, unknown, and a little unnatural to me was the best decision. Nonetheless, it cost me some effort and nerves. I'm a little bit of a control freak, a pretty tense person, and a perfectionist. All of these traits make for a pretty miserable existence if you give in to them. And although I've learned a lot of things about how to deal with all this, and now I can easily laugh at myself and not take myself too seriously, and I know that there's no such a thing as perfection, there's still a long way to go. The irony was that the more I tried to make sure that I was ready and everything's perfect and that I had covered all the bases, the more anxiety I would get. And then inevitably I would have those treacherous thoughts pop into my head like, what if I say something stupid? What if I forget to say something or ask something? What if they won't like talking to me or think that I'm unprofessional? You know, all those what ifs. Preparation is good and is necessary, but also being able to let go, relax, and being present in the moment is just essential. If you get caught up in these thoughts, you start to get nervous and you become hyper aware of every word you say. And this in turn is not letting you think straight. It's like blocking your thought process. And the next thing you know, you can't breathe and you have a full-blown panic attack. Yes, giving an interview is not the same as just having a conversation. You are very aware of the fact that you're being recorded. But the best thing I have found I can do is just let myself be me with all my mistakes and goofiness. If you're like me, I just want to let you know that overthinking and worrying is not going to change anything. And you can never make sure that everything is under control. If anything, it's just going to make for a really bad experience because even if the conversation was great, you will only remember those stressful feelings you felt. Another thing that we need to understand and that I had to understand is that communication skills are skills that need to be developed and honed, whether it's your native language or non-native language. It takes work, time, and experience. And there's already a couple of bumps on the road that I've come across and some things that I've learned. First of all, you talk to a person you've never talked to before. You don't know their communication style and you need a little bit of time to adjust to them. Then you also want to make sure that you're ready for the interview, that you did your research, and that you're asking interesting questions and not obvious and dumb ones. I compared myself to the people I was talking to, native speakers, which I probably shouldn't compare, but nonetheless, it's self-analysis. And I noticed that I take longer pauses to find the right words because I still can't access the vocabulary that I need right away. I have a pretty good vocabulary, but I still can't tap into it fast enough, especially when I feel under pressure or when I'm tense. I use too many filler words like, you know, kinda, sorta, etc. I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. They serve a purpose, but I could have used fewer of those for sure. The reason I use them is that they let me take a moment to think of what I want to say next. And they basically say that I'm speaking off the top of my head. I am conveying my message and I am being clear, but there are better words or ways to convey it. I also use them in my day-to-day communication in my native language. And that is the thing. I need to work on this in my native language as well. I am not that eloquent in my native language either. But we don't analyze ourselves in our day-to-day life and our communication style because we've gotten so used to our communication style that we don't even pay attention to it and we don't hear ourselves anymore. And our conversations are not being recorded. That's why it's so useful to record yourself speaking English freestyle. This will give you the opportunity to catch your mistakes and notice those little and big things. It would be super useful to record yourself answering common questions they ask in interviews to hear how you sound and notice what can be improved and said better, what words you tend to use and what would sound more professional and assertive, and to analyze your behavior and work on your confidence. Regrets. I am talking about these reoccurring thoughts after, I don't know, having a conversation, doing an interview or presentation in English, like, I could have said that better. I could have used better words. Why did I say that and didn't mention that? These are normal. I recognize them. And for the most part, I'm not letting them get into my head. But so far, I still get them right after my interviews and the first time I watch them. But it's not like, oh, I could have said that better, or why didn't I say that? It's more like, oh, well, I could have said that better and I could have used better words. My goal is to not have these regrets because it's pointless, but to make notes of the things that I want to improve on without attaching any negative feelings and thoughts to those things. I have a few rules now. Do it anyway, do it scared. Start before you're ready, make mistakes, learn, move on. Hey, I'm popping in to tell you about the sponsor of this portion of the video, Lingoda. They decided to launch a fall edition of the Lingoda Language Sprint Challenge in September. It will last 2 months or 60 days and rewards students who attend all their classes with 50% or 100% cashback. It's their first 2-month sprint ever. If you are planning on improving your English skills in 2021 but still haven't gotten around it, this is your chance. Commit to 60 days of Lingoda's Language Sprint, which is an intensive language challenge that takes your language skills to the next level. You can take either 15 classes or 30 classes a month for 2 months. And if you attend all of your classes, you can get a 50% or 100% cashback correspondingly. The registration period is open until September 3rd. The sprint starts on September 7th and ends on November 5th. Both plans require a $59 deposit, and both plans will be paid in 2 monthly installments. You can sign up for it using my link below in the description or with this discount code, which you'll also find in the description box, to get a $25 discount off of the $59 deposit. With Lingoda, you can have lessons at any time that is convenient for you, in small groups for better results, and with qualified teachers who are native speakers. And during classes, they put a lot of emphasis on speaking and conversation. So in 2 months' time, you can go from small talks to engaging in real conversations in English. And before joining, don't forget to check out Lingoda's frequently asked questions section to get more information about the sprint. All of the successful people, all as one, say that only by taking on those challenges do you get to grow. And only by doing something you haven't done before can you get or achieve something you couldn't before. Again, when we just have conversations with people, we don't usually listen to them to analyze ourselves. Thus, we don't hear the way we communicate and express our thoughts. Most people don't even know how their voices sound. That's why we're so surprised when we hear ourselves in a recording. That doesn't sound like me. That's not the voice I hear in my head. I have this opportunity right now to listen to myself speak. And to be quite frank with you, I don't like the way I build my communication. And a couple of years ago, seeing and hearing myself communicate with other people and not liking it would have made me feel ashamed, self-conscious, and helpless. And I would have quit. I would have given up. I would have thought to myself, well, that's probably not for me. Whereas now I know that the only way to improve is to analyze, draw conclusions, learn from your mistakes, push through, and keep going forward nonetheless. So I'm going to accept the level I'm at and my way of expressing myself right now. At this stage, I'm doing my best and I'm going to continue working instead of beating myself up. I'll do more research on interviewing and maybe take a course to improve my communication skills. That's going to be my action plan. As you can see, there's always room for improvement. There's always something new to learn and master. Okay guys, I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't yet, and I'll see you in the next one.